Hey, you ever have someone try to steamroll you, thinking they've got all the power, all the cards, and you're just supposed to roll over? That's exactly what happened to me last summer, out by Willow Creek. In this little cabin my grandpa left Memon, I'm still shaking my head over it. Let me take you back to that morning when Sarah Whitaker, the HOA queen bee, showed up with a cop car and a construction crew, ready to tear up my front yard like it was her personal playground. Picture this. I'm Ethan Harper, 40 years old, just a regular guy who designs buildings for a living, standing on the porch of this 100-year-old cabin by the creek, the kind of place that smells like pine and old memories. The sun's bouncing off the water, and I'm sipping coffee, thinking about the fish I'm going to catch later when a pickup truck roars up, followed by a police cruiser. Out steps Sarah, 50, blonde hair pulled tight in a bun, waving a stack of papers like she's about to declare war. "Ethan, this land's HOA property," she snaps, her voice all high and mighty, like she's reading from a script she's rehearsed 100 times. "We're putting up a fence, and you've got no say in it." Three guys in hard hats grab shovels and start marching toward my yard, like they're about to claim it for the queen. I just stand there, arms crossed, feeling my blood boil, but keeping it cool because I know something she doesn't. See, this cabin's been in my family forever. My grandpa, Jack Harper, bought it in '55, back when this place was just woods and dreams. Every summer, I'd come out here as a kid, fixing the dock with him, listening to his stories about the old days. When he passed a few months back, I moved in, thinking I'd keep his legacy alive. But Sarah? She'd been on my case since day one. First it was the cabin's unapproved cedar siding, then my tomato garden was against code, then my truck parked in my own driveway was somehow a crime. Each time, I'd send her a polite letter, saying, "Ma'am, this land's been ours since before your HOA was a twinkle in some developer's eye." But Sarah didn't care about history, she cared about control. That morning, instead of yelling, I pulled out my phone and started recording. "Go ahead, Sarah," I said, calm as the creek behind me. "Dig wherever you want." Her eyes went wide. She'd been itching for a fight, and here I was, handing her the shovel. The cop, Officer Daniels, a big guy who looked like he'd rather be fishing, raised an eyebrow. "You sure, Mr. Harper?" he asked, hand on his radio. I just nodded, keeping the camera rolling. Sarah barked orders like a drill sergeant, pointing at a spot 10 feet from my porch. 4 feet deep. "Boys, make it quick," she said, and I caught the way her voice hitched, like she knew something was down there. The crew dug like their lives depended on it, dirt flying, shovels clanging. Sarah kept checking her watch, her face all smug, like she'd already won. Then, about an hour in clang, one of the workers froze. "Boss, we hit something," he called out, wiping sweat off his face. Sarah practically sprinted to the hole, her cool cracking like thin ice. "Keep going, but careful," she said, her voice sharp but excited. They pulled out a rusty metal box, wrapped in some kind of old tarp, about the size of a toolbox. I was stunned, but Sarah? She looked like she'd been waiting for this moment her whole life. Officer Daniel stepped in, all business now. "Ma'am, we might need to call this in." Could be anything, old utilities, maybe something else. Sarah waved him off, but I saw a flicker of panic in her eyes. They pried open the box, hinges screaming, and inside was a time capsule from another era. A birth certificate from 1927, yellowed but clear, listing Jack Harper and Robert Klein as brothers, born the same day, same parents. My grandpa had a brother? Next came a carved wooden pipe with Harper and Klein, 1927, etched on it, a silver ring with their birth dates. And here's the kick-era letter in my grandpa's handwriting. "To whoever finds this," it read, "open it only if someone tries to steal our land. The truth must come out." Sarah's face went ghost white, but she recovered fast. "This proves nothing," she said, voice shaking. "Old papers, probably fakes." But I wasn't buying it. She knew something big. Turns out, Sarah's real name was Sarah Klein, and her dad was Robert, my grandpa's long-lost brother. The letter told the story. Back in '55, Jack and Robert bought this land together, dreaming of a family retreat. But Robert got greedy, tried to sell off Jack's share behind his back. When Jack called him out, Robert bolted, changed his name, and cut all ties. Sarah grew up on her dad's lies, thinking our family stole her inheritance. And that box? It held a 1955 surveyor's map, stamped by the county, proving my cabin was never HOA land. I didn't show that map yet. Instead, I let Sarah think she was winning. By noon the next day, she'd slapped me with a lawsuit, claiming I was squatting on HOA property, demanding I vacate in 48 hours. The speed of it screamed connections. Normal cases don't move that fast. I called my buddy Mike, a private investigator who'd seen it all. By Wednesday, he dug up dirt that made my jaw drop. Sarah had changed her name in 2015, right before moving here. She'd clawed her way to HOA president, rewriting bylaws to gobble up land from folks too old or broke to fight back. My cabin wasn't her first rodeo. She'd already snatched 3 other properties. And get this, a 2021 geological survey she'd paid for showed garnet deposits under my land, worth millions. That fence, that lawsuit, all a cover to get to those gems. Mike also found out Sarah had friends in high places. Officer Daniels got donations from the HOA. The judge, Linda Carter, had been wined and dined at Sarah's fancy events. It wasn't just a land grab, it was a full-on conspiracy. I had a choice: drop the 1955 map and end it, or let Sarah dig herself deeper. I chose the long game, because sometimes you gotta let a bully trip over their own ego. Thursday morning, I walked into court, briefcase light but loaded with dynamite. Sarah was there with her slick lawyers, looking like she'd already bought the land. Judge Carter seemed bored, like this was just another HOA spat. Sarah's attorney waved that fake 2018 map, droning on about community rights. I let them talk, then played my video of Sarah's crew digging, pausing on her face when they hit the box. "Your Honor," I said, leaning in, "this isn't someone surprised. This is someone who knew." The room got quiet. I showed security footage of Sarah sneaking onto my land at 2 a.m., waving a metal detector like a treasure hunter. Her lawyers squirmed. Sarah's face went from smug to scared. I could have dropped the map right there, but I held back, asking for a week's delay to gather more evidence. Sarah flipped, practically yelling that any delay would harm the community. Judge Carter raised an eyebrow. She wasn't buying the panic act. During a break, I overheard Sarah on her phone, hissing, "The permits expire next week. We lose the mining deal if we don't get this land now." Bingo. She wasn't just after power, she was drowning in debt, banking on those garnets to save her. That Friday, an old friend of my grandpa's, Clara Evans, called me. She'd been his bookkeeper for years and saw Sarah's face on the news. "Ethan," she said, voice like gravel, "that box wasn't just about family secrets. Your grandpa knew about the garnets in '79. He could have cashed out, but he left half the rights to Robert's kids, hoping they'd come back honest." Clara showed me old letters, proving Grandpa Jack never gave up on his brother. Sarah could have just knocked on my door, said who she was, and gotten millions. Instead, she chose fraud, lies, and a small army of dirty officials. Monday's court date was like something out of a movie. I laid it all out: the 1955 map, the box, the birth certificates, Grandpa's letter. "Your Honor," I said, looking right at Sarah, "she's my cousin. She's entitled to half this land if she'd just asked." The courtroom gasped. Sarah's lawyers looked like they'd been punched. Then I dropped the bomb, but she didn't ask. She forged maps, bribed officials, and tried to steal what was half hers anyway. Sarah stood up, tears streaming, voice shaking. "You Harper stole everything from my dad," she shouted. "He died thinking you cheated him. I was taking back what's mine. I could have ended her right there, but I did something crazy." "Your Honor," I said, "I'll share the inheritance, half the land, half the garnets if she owns up to her crimes and makes this right." Sarah froze, then spat. "I don't need your pity, Ethan. I'd rather lose it all than take your hand out." That was it. Judge Carter slammed the gavel, ordering a criminal investigation. Daniels confessed to taking bribes. Sarah was cuffed on the spot, facing federal charges for fraud and conspiracy. As they let her out, I called after her. "You could have been family, Sarah." She didn't look back. Weeks later, the FBI unraveled Sarah's whole network: cops, clerks, even a judge, all on her payroll. She got 7 years, but I wasn't done. I visited her in lockup, sliding a contract across the table. Half the land, half the millions, like Grandpa wanted. "Why?" she whispered, eyes red. "Because family's bigger than this mess," I said. "You fought the wrong fight, Sarah, but you're still a Harper." She signed, tears falling, and for the first time, I saw hope in her face. Now, the cabin's a family trust, preserving the land and funding local schools. Sarah writes me from prison, talking about starting over when she's out. Grandpa's dream of a whole family. It's not perfect, but it's real. So what do you think? Was I nuts to give her a second chance after all that? Ever dealt with someone who'd rather burn it all down than admit they're wrong? Drop a comment. Share your story. I want to hear how you'd handle a fight like this. And if you loved watching a bully get outplayed, hit that like button and subscribe for more real stories where truth wins out. Thanks for sticking with me. See you by the creek.